Welcome back to Accounted Cross Stitch. I'm Nikki and this is my 10th Flosstube episode. I don't think we will have a super long episode today, but I have some good progress I wanted to share. It hasn't been a super exciting 2 weeks in my household, but yeah, I've had a lot of stitching time, so I wanted to show what I got done. Honestly, it's been kind of a downer 2 weeks in my household, and I won't inflict any of that on y'all, but it's been good to have this hobby. Having cross stitch or knitting or anything crafty like that, it's a good opportunity when life is sad or stressful to sit down and focus on crafting for a little while. So I just wanted to say that I'm grateful for that and grateful for this community. Like, knowing that I had a goal of filming today meant that over the last 2 weeks there were a bunch of days where I sat down and stitched for a little while and had a little bit of peace instead of just like doom scrolling. So thank you for watching, and I have some fun stuff to show. I have a new start, finally. I have been talking about this project since I started my Flosstube in June, and I swatched it last month, and this week I finally, for real, actually started it. So this is Black Roses by Owl Forest. It is on 20 count Aida in Dirty Chalkboard by Bestitch Me, and I'm using a red variegated and a solid black silk from Silks for You on Etsy. And you can see my swatch down here in the corner. I had gone back and forth about whether I was going to use 1 strand or 2. I was hesitant to use 2 strands on 20 count, but with the very dark fabric, I wanted to make sure that my colors and my stitches really popped. So I did decide to go with the 2 strands. And I mean, it is like a little bit of a pain to stitch with the 2 strands on such a small weave, but I'm really liking the way it's looking, and it's not too much of a pain. It's not going to make me avoid the project or anything. I'm really loving how it's coming out already. I feel like this is exactly the aesthetic I was going for, with like the charcoal fabric and the black and red floss. So I'm super happy with this. And I know it's a pretty small start. I wanted to make sure I got at least 1 full rose done so I could see what the vibe was going to look like, and I'm happy with it. So I'm excited to continue working on this, and I think this is going to be the project that I bring with me. Well, I'll bring a few projects, but I'm planning on having this be one of the big projects that I work on when I go to the Children of the Thread retreat in Estes Park, Colorado in April, because for me this project feels very Stephen King themed. It reminds me of The Dark Tower. It's part of the reason why I'm doing the roses in red. So super excited to finally have this started for real. And then whips. I hadn't worked on Cerberpuss for a while, so I pulled out Cerberpuss this week. Sorry for my parked threads. So this is Cerberpuss by Needalot Designs, and I'll put in a picture of what the pattern looks like. But this is if Cerberus, the 3-headed dog who guards the underworld in Greek mythology, but if he was a cat. So right up my alley. I love it so much. It's very fun to work on. It's got a good balance of like mindless block stitching, but also like the subtle shading looks really nice. I even just like look at the cuffs. Like, I really love the way this pattern looks, and I'm excited to continue it. I probably need to buy more of some of the floss colors before I get too far along, but yeah, I'm really enjoying this project. My next whip is Love at First Sight by Long Dog. This was a pattern that I told myself I had to get at least 2 pages done before I was allowed to start Black Roses. So I did it. I have 2 pages finished out of the 20 pages on the pattern. And I mentioned in my last episode that I have set a goal of stitching 1 page per month. So I have 18 pages left. I will be done with this hopefully in 18 months. And so I will have the goal of stitching the 3rd page in December. This one is also using Silks For You floss, and the fabric is from Forbidden Fiber. It's a 16 count Aida, I believe. I think the color might be like Pixie Dust, Pixie something. I can confirm. If anyone's super curious, just let me know. And then my next whip is from Velvet to Linen by Kathy Barrick. This has become kind of a tradition that I work on this on Sundays. Sunday is the only day that I really have time during the daylight to stitch. You know, I work during the day, Monday through Friday, and on Saturday I'm often out and about doing things. So on Sundays lately, I have just been sitting near a window, getting some good sunlight, watching football, and working on this project. It's 40 count, so I want good lighting to be able to work on it. Even with like the daylight, I'm still using my OttLight and my magnifier, but I'm finding it to be fun to work on. The 40 count isn't too painful at all, and I'm doing this with Paintbox Threads silks, which are just a treat to work with. So I'm really enjoying this. I have the original pattern here. So as you can see, this one uses more muted colors. It's originally charted in NPIs, and I put together my own conversion that's a little bit brighter because I'm just not a muted colors girly. I'm a bright colors girly. So I'm having a lot of fun working on this, and I will continue working on it when I have sunlight on Sundays. Not as much these days. The sun's going down at like 4:45 here, but you know, someday. And then my last whip for the week is Toad Ghoul Terrarium by Noctiflora. This is her current SAL. So I'm currently working on part 7, which is down here. And last week's part 6 was this big chunk here with these like scary toothy mushrooms. Part 6 was really big. We had 2 weeks to work on it. Part 7's pretty big too. So I worked on it a good amount this weekend. Sorry, my threads are everywhere. I worked on it a good amount this weekend, but I still have a good ways to go. So when I finish part 7, I believe the bottom half of this will be completely done, and I'll move on to working on the top half, but I'm really enjoying this project. I really love the colors, especially the way they pop on the black. So looking forward to seeing what's next on this pattern. And so far I'm doing a perfect job of keeping up with the SAL schedule, so that's been nice. I think it's going to finish either right before Christmas or right before New Year's. It definitely finishes in December. So, and then I don't have big SAL plans oops, sorry, I kicked my camera. I don't have big SAL plans yet in 2026. I know that the last 2 years I have done the Lola Crow SAL, the Deadly Aquarium, and the Extraordinary Birds this year. And I think she hinted that her theme was going to be a little different, I think she said it was going to be an indoor scene this year. And I love Lola Crow. I love her designs. They're beautiful. Doing those SALs is just all encompassing. It's so hard to keep up with that SAL and also get other stitching done. So I'm almost hoping, this is weird, but I'm almost hoping that she announces a theme that does not appeal to me and that I decide to skip the SAL this year. But if she announces something that does appeal to me, then I'm definitely going to do it because I love her art. So waiting to see if I'll be participating in that SAL this spring or not. And then I also have my eye on Autumn Lane. I know in the last like 5 years or so, they've done 2 like Dark Queen SALs. They did Dark Queen of the Seas and Dark Queen of the Earth, and that they have kind of teased that they're going to do, I guess Dark Queen of the Sky would be next. There's another one too. I don't know. I think there's supposed to be 4, and I really love the previous 2, and I haven't started them yet. I bought Dark Queen of the Seas. I have Dark Queen of the Seas almost completely kitted up. I've kind of second guessed which fabric I'm going to use, but if I don't do a SAL this spring, I might start Dark Queen and try to follow Dark Queen of the Seas and try to follow the original SAL schedule from that, just from like the pictures of what each clue was each week. I might try to do that this spring if I don't do Lola Crow. I'm not sure. Just thinking out loud about what I might work on next. And then for admiring this week, I have this pattern that I just had my eye on, and I don't know if I'm actually gonna stitch it, but every time I look at it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love it so much. And it's called A Cozy Evening. It's on Unconventional X Stitch, and the artist is Adrian Borda. And this piece just speaks to my soul. It's just the idea that sitting on a balcony in the rain is cozy. I don't think everyone would agree with that, but that's me. Just like the rain and the city scene and the cat and the book and her warm beverage, like I just love this art. I don't really stitch full coverage. I've never stitched a large full coverage. All I've done are my Taylor Swift mini albums back here. Technically this is full coverage, I guess. It's 42 by 42 though, so it's tiny. And A Cozy Evening is huge. And I've heard people describe full coverage stitching almost as a different hobby. So I don't know if I actually want to stitch this or if I just love the art, but I just wanted to show it to everyone because I do think it's beautiful, and maybe at some point I'll stitch it. I have such a laundry list of other patterns that I want to do, and some of them are quite large. Like long dogs are super large, mirabilias are a big project. So I feel like I could do like 10 of those in the time it would take me to stitch this. I don't know. It feels like almost like I'm sacrificing the opportunity cost of all of these other projects if I start a huge full coverage. Maybe I should just see if the artist will sell me a print of his art. I don't know, but here it is, A Cozy Evening. I love it. It's my vibe. So now you've all seen it too. And I have some knitting to share. I don't have any super exciting knitting to share though. I was working on this last time. I made a little more progress. This is one of my Musselburgh hats. I am so close to being done with Christmas stitching. I think I only have to make like one more hat. I'm making a pair of socks for a friend, and I found out that friend isn't going to be in town when I'm visiting North Carolina for Christmas. So I will see them in February, so I get an extra month to knit the socks, so that's great news. But yeah, this is me almost done with my Christmas stitching, and this is about halfway through this hat. And then I am also still working on the Campcraft shawl, which I have shown in my last several episodes. It's a little bigger than last time, but still looks predominantly the same as last time. This is by Stephen West. It's part of his yarn along kits that he sent out last summer, and I'm just a few rows away from being able to add the next color to the fade, so I'm excited to start adding a little more color and switching back and forth between the two colors. I think it'll make it a little bit more interesting. So I will probably do that tonight. I like to bring this with me to my knitting group. We meet at a local brewery every Monday, and that's a good project that I can chat and have my beer and also get some good work done on that project. I also have a secret knitting project that I'm making for someone who I'm pretty sure watches this, so I'm not going to show it yet, but I will show it in one of my January episodes, I guess, after Christmas. But I'm knitting a thing. Yeah, I don't want to give anything about it away, but I do have another knitting project, and I will show it off later. It's a little bit of a pain. It's got some color work in it, which is not my strongest suit. So that's a fun challenge to keep me busy, and I will show it next month, or in 2 months really. And then reading. Last week I told y'all that I was getting ready to start this book and that I was second guessing whether buying this was even a good decision because it seemed so stressful. The plot of this is it's a 59-minute countdown to a nuclear bomb hitting London. So it follows 3 different characters, and it gives like a minute-by-minute countdown of like what they're doing once they get this alert that they need to take coverage and that the bomb is coming in 59 minutes. And so it follows their story, and I actually really enjoyed it. Like I mentioned earlier, it's been kind of a rough 2 weeks in my household, and this I read this in like 2 sittings. It was such a great distraction. Like, it is super stressful. It's got upsetting content in it. And you know, not just like the horror of nuclear war, but the horror of how people behave under bad circumstances. So definitely a stressful, kind of unpleasant book, but it really pulled me out of my own problems and gave me something to focus on for a little while I was reading this. So if that's something you need, this book I thought was very, very engaging and very fast paced, and I really liked it. So that is 59 minutes. And then in my last episode, I also mentioned that I had just started Quicksilver. This book is super fun. It's a spicy romantasy. There is a cute little pet creature, and nothing bad happens to the cute little pet creature, which I always appreciate in a book. If they introduce a cute little critter and it is in danger, I'm very stressed out. It ruins the book for me. So I really enjoyed Quicksilver. I do have like some pet peeves with this book, with the writing. There were some, I guess, anachronisms in it. Like at one point, and this is like fully in a fantasy world. This isn't one of those fantasy books that they hint is kind of like, maybe it's a parallel universe to our world, maybe it's in some way related to our world, maybe it's a post-apocalyptic version of our world. There is nothing in this book to indicate that, but then every once in a while they say things that don't belong in this world. Like at one point, this like fantasy character is just like, let me give you the Cliff Notes. And Cliff Notes? Do you have Cliff Notes in the fairy world? I don't think you do. And that it's probably petty that bothers me, but like that this author, you know, is book knowledgeable enough to have written this entire very successful book, and it's reasonably well edited other than these weird little things. There's not like grammatical errors that I noticed, and that no one said like, hey, maybe fairies don't know about Cliff Notes. I don't know. It bothered me. But other than that, it was a very enjoyable book, and if you're not petty like me, that probably won't bother you, and I definitely still recommend it. But it is just fun. It's definitely not like great literature or anything. And the sequel just came out last week, Brimstone, and I do plan on reading that because I want to know what happens next. So hopefully we'll read that in the next couple of months. And then the next book that I'm planning on picking up is We Love You, Bunny by Mona Awad. This is a sequel to Bunny, which I read in October, which is a really weird, creepy horror book that I really enjoyed. And so this is the sequel. I didn't think Bunny ended in a way that invited a sequel. I thought that the story felt very well wrapped up. So I have no idea what's going to happen in the sequel. I don't know if it's something that it just takes place in the same world with kind of the same magic stuff happening, or if it's going to follow any of the characters from the first book. I'm very confused about why we have a sequel to Bunny, honestly, but I'm excited to find out. And I borrowed my friend's copy, so she has all these little sticky notes in it, so I'm excited to see what she was calling attention to. She does have like little notes in here, so it's always fun to read someone's annotated copy. So this will probably be what I start next. I haven't done my like book of the month selections for December yet. They usually come out a little bit later in the month. So when I get my book of the month box, I try to make sure I'm keeping up with those books. I usually get 2 books a month. So I will prioritize those when I get them in December, but I don't know what they will be yet. So as far as I know, this is next. And then audiobook, I'm about to start Babylon's Ashes, which is the 6th book in the Expanse series, which I've talked about the Expanse many times. It's just great sci-fi. I love it. So trying to get through that whole series. I'm trying to read one a month via audiobook, and I haven't started my November one yet, but yeah, Babylon's Ashes will be my November one, and I will be starting that imminently. I think that's everything I have to share with y'all today. Thank you for watching. Like I said, this was a shorter episode. Looks like we're right at 20 minutes. I hope that y'all have enjoyable Thanksgivings. If you're in the US and you celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you have a good time. I hope you get to spend it with your loved ones. And my partner and I are staying home for Thanksgiving. We're not visiting family this year. We have a sick cat who we need to stay with. So I will probably be getting a lot of cross stitching done because I have some time off work and I'll just be here at home. So I should be back in 2 weeks with lots of stitching to share. And thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later. Bye.